Hi, how's it going? I'm Marlene. Thanks for wandering on by. Today, I wanted to share with you a method that I started for myself organically in a way, in the way that I learned when I was first learning to read the tarot. And this is a practice that I've continued to do, not every time, but often when I get a new deck. Let me back up for a second and just, we're going to get to talking about this particular tarot deck, the Spacious Tarot, soon. But let me just back up and talk about what it's like, for those of you like myself, new to tarot, and, I'm about a little over a year into my tarot love affair. And you start learning to read the tarot cards. You learn by reading, by memorizing the meanings of the cards one by one by one. So you typically start with the Fool and the rest of the major arcana, and then you move into the minors, because most tarot books move you through the cards in such a way. It's one thing to learn card meanings, but they don't stand alone. So the cards never, stand alone, at least not for me. But in order to really read the tarot, you need to see the story in the cards. What you're learning is what you learn then when you see the story in the cards is how the cards speak to one another based on the singular meaning, on the, associated meanings for that particular card, and what you've landed upon is what resonates with you as your understanding of that card. Maybe a key word or two, maybe a key phrase that kind of stands out to you. And then you begin, building context and interaction among those cards once you see them together and you start creating that story. The way that I did this, how this happened kind of organically for me, is that I got kind of bummed out that there wasn't, that typically in a lot of beginner books, there's not a lot on the minors. So there's lots and lots and lots written about the majors and not a lot about the minors. And I really wanted the opportunity to dig in with the minors and read them as a story. So that's a great place to start in order to add context and interaction with your cards. What I usually do is I started doing this and I've continued doing it because it's such a fun thing to do and such a great learning tool. What I do is I line one of the minors suits in a row from ace to 10, and I go through each card and I write a narrative for them. Typically just talk to myself and I work myself from ace to 10 in a linear, as best, maybe it ends up being linear, but it kind of creates a narrative and it becomes the story of the suit. And that's how I taught myself the minors, then expanded those meanings and expanded my knowledge. And I had a lot of fun. I have fun and get to know any new deck that comes in by doing that particular exercise. That's one of the practices that I started, and then something kind of miraculous happened when I got the Spacious Tarot. Spacious Tarot is a deck that has no people in it whatsoever. And each one of the suits is their pips. This method that I had started was a lot easier to do with people or even animals, especially with decks that have pictorial scenes throughout the entire throughout the entire deck. So it's easy then to go to build a narrative from ace to 10 that way. And the Spacious Tarot, when I received it, I thought it was just such a cool idea. I loved the idea of the art, the depiction, giving you space to, to put yourself in, or I don't know, to dive in some way. Got it, and I did the thing that I've been now doing very often, where I line up a suit from ace to 10, and I work my way through telling a story. And it wasn't easy with this deck until I reached the Cups suit, and it's something that felt like a miracle happened when it felt like it to me. It felt like a miracle, magic, like something. It was just a really amazing moment for me. I don't know if what I realized was something that the creator had intended, or not. I think it's genius either way. And I mean, who really cares? Regardless of intention about what happened when I saw the Cups suit lined up, is that a story developed. And what I realized is when you look at the cards, and I'll go through these slower again, but when you look at the Cup suit, you see these are just cups. But what I began to realize is that it looked like the same cup was in every single one of the cards. I saw her, and yes, I personified her. And yes, I see the irony in personifying an inanimate object in a deck that has no people in it. So here's my little cup. But I'm going to go through this slower because what happened was the story of the brave little cup emerged. I want to walk you through my storytelling learning technique or method through a minor suit, the Suit of Cups in this case, in the Spacious Tarot. I want to share it with you in case it's something that you find valuable for your learning, for your practice, and if it's something that you think is fun as well. So I'll walk you through my thought process, and there'll be snippets of kind of narrative as we go along. But first, a note on the Cup suit in general. The Cup suit for me is the realm of emotion, of feeling, of connection. And when I take a look at the story of the cups, in this case, the brave little cup, I see her as on a journey, an adventure in discovering feeling and emotion, and in some sort of attempt to master that particular that particular realm, the realm of the heart, the realm of emotion, the realm of feeling. So we begin here with our Ace of Cups, and she exemplifies the essence of feeling, the essence of emotion. So at this point, she's receiving this light of emotion, and she is magnifying the world around her. But it's not that she's even had a feeling yet. It's sort of just her on the precipice of what will be a journey through emotion. And here she is in the Two of Cups. Now, this is the first manifestation of connection, of emotion. It is our girl, our cup has now seen another, met another. And here is where she is able to build connections with some other than herself. She is building love connection, perhaps partnership connection. She's become aware emotionally of herself in relationship to something else. And this is the place where it began. And so as she moves along this river of emotion, she is now greeted with a community of others. And she sits amongst the group, and she's able to, at this point, understand emotion in an overflow when she's developed friendships, when she's developed more meaningful connections. And you can see her emotion and the emotion of those others that are connected to her overflowing into and uniting together. And as she continues on her journey, she comes up against a removal, a withdrawal, a separation from the source, that first place of essence of emotion, that first place where she once was at the beginning is now somehow unavailable, separated, set apart, and she's set apart from the group. And perhaps in this place, she's missing or oblivious to what the essence was, what that feeling was, or her ability to connect with it like she was. So here in the 4 is where she comes to like a first impasse after having received this gift of emotion and having made connection to other, and then furthering that connection to others. Now it's sort of like the place where she is unsure about what that really means to her. And so she travels forward. And at this point, she gets a rude awakening about what emotion and feeling really can be, because she experiences loss and grief. And she is seated across the river that had brought her so much joy and so much connection with others before. Perhaps that is the source of this breaking. She doesn't know. All she knows is that she's here and she's made it, and these others have not. And it's a place of dark, perhaps regret, loss, wallowing, maybe self-pity, survivor's guilt. And it's a disturbance and a disruption of emotion and a darkening of the source that once was light and blue is now dark and clouded. But she must carry on. if she's to master her realm of emotion. And she returns to a place where she has been before. She returns perhaps to older friends, others, those that she's connected with. She returns to the shore. She returns with a connection to the land, the earth inside her. And here she revisits who she was when she first began. And she's able to share that connection with others, learn from what she lost, what emotions she has felt along the way. And now this river has taken her to the ocean. And she remembers. But she can't stay in that old memory for too long, because the life of a cup is not easy. And here she is, perhaps on this very beach where she was before. A blanket has been stirred, and all of her others, her cup friends, have been thrown into chaos in the air. And she's overwhelmed. And here she learns what the experience is of overwhelm of emotion. And it's as if she's been transported into some other world. She's so removed from the source. And the source of emotion is falling from all of her friends, and they're losing it. She doesn't know which way is up, which way is down. It's a world of illusion and upset. But it's part of her journey and her mastery of returning to the source and root of her own emotion. And so she must come down and she must carry on. And so we find her on the road, moving away from the source. She's lost some of her connection. Things perhaps are missing. But she's been through disruption. She's been through loss. She's made connections to others, and she's lost those connections to others. And she's perhaps even lost her own connection to what feeling is in general. And so because of that, she needs to move on. She has what she's learned behind her, what is no longer needed in her path behind her. And she's setting out perhaps for a return to source of emotion, perhaps on a journey to find what is missing. Perhaps she does know what is just over that mountain peak. And there are new connections to make as she travels along, as she goes along. And she has found what she needed as she has developed and learned along the way. She's created her own set of others, or her own set of feeling that's become so precise in her understanding that it creates a point of truth. It becomes a place of fulfillment where wishes can come true. And here she is on the outskirts of that group that look to me like a flock of birds, when they're all in unison, when everything has come together, when our feelings are so in sync with one another that we've created a point, a V. And you can imagine where these dandelion seeds will go into these cups, into her cup. And she feels utterly fulfilled after everything she's learned about what it's like to be a feeling cup to receive. And finally, our cup has made it back to source, so much so that she no longer even lives in the realm of reality. She's gone past and moved into a rainbow of emotion that is beyond the source. So far beyond that she and her cup community are spilling out and joining together the source of emotion, the source of feeling. And it is apparent in this very bright, very otherworldly place that our cup is spilling out, and she will need to start again. And isn't it amazing how when we're able to talk to ourselves and tell stories in this way with the space in order to have been able to do so, we can draw so many connections with the card meanings, with the element itself, right? With the numerology as layered upon that, with the tree of life meaning as well. When you're able to develop a language, a narrative of your own with your cards, you're developing a connection to your cards. You're developing a connection to yourself. But this is such an amazing experience as a learning tool for me. Super fun to do and very rewarding. So thank you for hanging out with me today and joining me along the story of the Brave Little Cup. I hope you all have a beautiful, wonderful day.